with a new year of Paladins also brings a brand new season of Ranked, which is Season 5. Whether you're looking to get enough wins for the new Ranked reward, which is a brand new Willow skin, or to looking to rank up, whether it's bragging rights to your friends, or a border at the end of the season for making it to a certain rank tier. I'm going to be going through 3 champions from each role of the game right now that are some of the best ones to help you easily win your matches and help you rank up, whether you're looking for either the ranked reward or to get a higher ranked and make it as simple as possible. Keep in mind, there are some champions that are not on this list. Just because they are not in this video or not on this list does not mean they are bad or good. These are just the ones that I think are the most consistent at all tiers of play, and there's kind of options in this list for pretty much everybody, whether you're just an average player or you can play pretty much everything and you just want some really solid options and some really good ideas. So without further ado, let's get right into this. Let's start out with the flanks. We got Androxus, Xin, and Maeve. Androxus has always been a top tier flank. Curse Revolver is still crazy. I do not know how it's still a thing. Being able to 900 headshot people and pretty much 2-tap a lot of the squishy characters, DPS, flanks, and supports in the game. Still crazy good. Really good mobility, really good poke damage. Even at medium range, you're still into about 300, 400 damage. Still really good. You just have everything you really want out of a flank right now, and especially if you have really good top tier aim and know how to actually play the character in the ins and outs of the character, you're going to easily carry your ranked games. Xin has always been a really good flank, and I think he's probably the most balanced flank in the game. I don't think there's actually been a time, at least recently, where Xin has actually been considered bad. He has 3 viable talents. His talents really work, whether you want extra damage with Yomi, you want the damage scaling on your ult with Guillotine, or you just want to go with Smolder and play around your Billow. Having an ability to go into the back line and get a free 100% uncauterized heal with your Billow is 100% just out of this world good right now, especially with cauterized being reworked and giving to everybody in their base weapons and putting into their base kits. Huge value, especially if you have a support that plays with you and is constantly looking at you and constantly looking what you're doing. So just really solid right now, just a really consistent flank. And then we got Maeve. Maeve has always been one of the funnest flank champions to play in the game. Hyper mobility, great damage at all ranges. She has no damage fall off. The ability to get into somebody's backline, get a really huge kill on the support or one of their DPS, or just some really huge damage and being able to just get out scot-free is one of the best things ever. It really is. She is really good right now, especially with the cauterized changes. You're able to just build whatever you want out of spawn, and that's the biggest change I think she's gotten, at least recently, over the last at least like 1 or 2 seasons. Not really much has changed with her, but she's still insanely good. She is one of the funnest flanks to play in the game, and if you know how to play Maeve, and you actually play Maeve a lot like myself, right now it's a great time to actually pick up Maeve because she's insanely good. Extremely hard to lock down, and overall just insanely fun to play, and she puts in the absolute finest of work in your games. Up next, we got damage characters. We got Tyra, Cassie, and Sati. Cassie, I think right now is probably the best projectile character in the game. Exaction's great, Big Game is great, and the Blast Shot talent is also really good. Overall, she has 3 viable talents. She has some of the best damage numbers out of any damage champion in the game right now. And even if you're playing on console, I think she's probably still the best projectile champion in the game. Really consistent fast charging ult, really good mobility, the ability to just do burst damage with Exaction with a 1-second cooldown on your dodge roll is insane. Being able to just melt tanks with Big Game, extra bonus like burst damage with your extra blast shot damage talent, it's great. She is just insanely good right now and probably one of the best DPS champions in the game. If you have at least average aim with Cassie, learn her and perfect your aim, and if you're at least averagely good with her, you can put in a decent, like an insane amount of work right now, even with this like decent aim. Really solid, and overall just everything you want out of a damage champion right now. Probably going to end up getting nerfed in the future, so depending when you're seeing this, stuff might have changed, but right now she's insane. Then we got Tyra. What can I say about Tyra? You pick Burn Monster, you press one button, you throw a bunch of fire everywhere, and you just watch everybody's health bar just completely burn down to 0. That's pretty much what Tyra is right now. One of the most broken talents and broken abilities in the game is Burn Monster. Just being able to click a button just gets so much value. It's crazy how that's still even in the game and has not been changed to this day. Cripples reduces your healing and does that much damage. I don't know. Nade as well, you got damage. You have damage reduction loadouts with your Mercy Kill. Hunting Party isn't that good, but who's going to be running that anyways? We can run Burn Monster and just click one button and pretty much destroy an entire point fight. Destroy a tank in 1v1. There's just no point. Insanely good right now. Just really consistent, and even with Cauterize being removed, gives her a bunch of options from the item store and just makes her a lot better. Then we got Sati, one of the newest damage champions to the game and one of the newer ones. She's been a menace since release, and she's nowhere far from where she's been from release. She did get nerfed a little bit this last patch, but she also got buffed with her ult having a bigger projectile size. Really fast charging ult. Her coin is also made easier to actually hit with a recent patch, so it's a lot easier to get damage with her coin. Really solid right now if you want to run Improvise or even Window of Opportunity. Both are great talents and great playstyles. They both work really well. It's really annoying to play against, and with how much damage she does, it's absolutely crazy. And that's not even counting headshots. If you get really good at landing headshots with Sati, you just end up melting people and you just win a lot of your 1v1s and a lot of your fights. It's overall really good and everything you want out of a damage champion right now, especially for a hit scan. Same with Tyra. For tanks, we got Khan, Atlas, and Barrack. Atlas is one of the best off tanks in the game. He doesn't really work too well as a point tank, but as for an off tank, he's just everything you want out of an off tank right now. Being able to just stack Chronos out of spawn is a huge buff for him for the Season 5. And he just does insane damage numbers, a bunch of CC. Exile is great if you know how to use it. Really good long-range damage numbers and really good close-range damage numbers. If you know how to cycle your cooldowns and you learn the ins and outs and the basics of playing Atlas, he's just an absolute monster right now. And maybe even worthy of a ban sometimes, even though he doesn't really get banned in the majority of your games. You may see him banned once in a while, and he's definitely worth a really solid pick right now if you're looking for a really good off-tank. Khan can play a point tank, but it's a lot more difficult and there's a lot better options, but mainly as an off-tank is where he shines. The one thing you're to be picking him for is just for his ult. His ult is being able to overpower somebody and use that and just pick somebody off every single time. You do have to aim it, you do have to land it on somebody, but usually if you're going to be using it, if you can just land it onto a tank and you can throw a tank off the map or have your team target a tank while you're holding them, huge value. And an instant kill every single point fight is just what you want out of a tank. Overall, as well with talents, his talents aren't too bad. Being able to stun people out with your commander's grab ain't too bad. Leon's shield is okay if you want to play like a hybrid point tank. I wouldn't really play him as a solo point tank because he's not really the greatest and there's just better options. But you can make it work versus certain teams. Overall, just really consistent, really easy to play tank that gets a lot of value. And just overall, just really simple to play and brings a lot to a team. And then we got Barrack, which hasn't really changed very much. He's always been one of the most consistent tanks in the game. Really solid damage numbers, really good self-sustain with loadout cards. Just never dies. If you play a proper Barrack, like you just sit on the point the entire time, just do a shit ton of damage, you just never die. He has everything you want out of a tank. Really solid shield. Dome shield is great just for locking down an objective or locking down an area, and it charges relatively fast with how much damage you're doing. Forge fire is okay still, and Tinkerin being able to even do more damage. 500 damage per hit with your base weapon is still really good. Overall, just a really solid tank right now, and not really much has changed with him, but he definitely should be prioritized if you want to rank up with how consistent he is and how easy he is to make work, especially with fitting onto a majority of the teams being played right now and the team comps that you're going to want to be picking in your ranked games. For supports, we got Furia, Grover, and Corvus. Furia is recently buffed, going from the first patch of the season. They actually buffed Cherish, and she is probably the best support in the game right now. Really consistent, and just does her job perfectly. One of the best support ults in the game. Does not have any counters, and the enemy team just kind of has to either wait it out or play right into your ult. Inflame is great. Really solid damage numbers for a support. You do insane amounts of damage, especially with full Wrath meter. And overall, your healing numbers are just really consistent, especially if your team at least somewhat tries to play out of Cauterize. Solar Blessing is great. Exterminate is kind of a throw pick. unless you're on a double support comp. Just don't play it as a solo healer. As all of the other damage talents for supports, don't play that as a solo healer. If you're going to be playing a support, make sure you're healing your team as a solo support, please. Rover has always been great. One of the best support ults in the game. Being able to get your team from 0 all the way to full with the span of your ult, and being able to even cancel it and retain some of your ult charge, which was a recent change, is still huge for him. Really solid damage numbers out of his support. Really difficult to lock down, especially if your team is just playing around you. It's really difficult to get into the back line and actually kill a really good Grover, just because their enemy team is going to constantly be playing around him. All you have to do is just follow at least like 2 of your teammates around and constantly be grouped up with your team. Really easy and really straightforward to play. And once you get the hang of them, you can just put in a lot of work. Really just straightforward support to play and just gets a lot of value with how consistent he is and how good he is right now. And then you got Corvus. Corvus right now I think is one of the best supports in the game. Being able to especially be paired with a lot of characters right now. Mainly a lot of the flanks and a lot of DPS, being able to just pocket them and have them kind of semi-carry the game with just the consistent heals and the stuff you're able to give them with loadout cards. Lifesteal, DR, small shields, like movement speed, a bunch of other stuff. Dark Gifts is still good in like a double support comp if you have like a dedicated DPS or flank or even a tank that you just want to pocket the shit out of and hope they carry the game. Just really solid damage numbers, really consistent damage, and he's just everything you really want out of his support right now. Just insanely consistent, and he just does his job perfectly. I wouldn't say he's broken tier, but he's definitely something you're going to want to be prioritizing and picking in the majority of your ranked games if he is not picked, because he's just right now just steamrolling and just really winning games with how good he is. Now, I'm actually going to add this extra part of the video. I originally wasn't going to do this, but there are a lot of champions that are really good right now, and some that I just didn't quite put on this list. But I'm going to have a couple honorable mentions that I think are also really underrated, kind of sleeper picks right now. Those being Octavia, Vora, Yaghrith, and Io. Octavia right now is probably seeing the most play she's seen in quite a while, especially since she's been released. She recently got her damage numbers back, and people are finding out how good she actually is right now. Kind of came out of nowhere and kind of something that kind of didn't really even make sense at the start of the season. Now it's people just kind of started playing her and realizing, wow, she's actually insanely good. You're actually seeing her banned and play in a lot of your ranked games. And she's probably one of the best like mid-range damage dealers in the game. At least right now, definitely a really underrated and really sleeper pick. And good on a pretty good handful of maps in the game right now. Then we got Yaghrith. Yaghrith actually got nerfed this current patch. Depending on when you're seeing this, it could be different. She could have got reverted nerfs or whatever, but I think people are just really scared of Yaghrith right now just because they think she got over-nerfed. Yaghrith is still insanely good. The only problem with Yaghrith is you have to have like a team kind of built around her. You have to kind of ban out the other types of enemy teams' checks to you, ban out Tyra, ban out Cassie, ban out the stuff that kind of checks you, Skye, like the stuff just does a shit ton of damage and kind of just shuts you down. If you can ban that stuff out or just pick that stuff for your team instead and have like a healer and like a team built around you, like Solar Blessing Furia or like healers that actually can keep you fully sustained, then she does work really well, especially if the enemy team does not have any checks or counters to you. She kind of just still runs the game. Still insanely good, and I think people are just kind of scared of playing her right now just because she did get kind of heavily nerfed, but she's not really even that bad at all. If anything, the nerfs kind of didn't really even do much. She's still pretty much the same. And if you know what you're doing on Yaghrith, you're still going to be able to carry a game. Vora is still insanely good. She got nerfed, and she actually got a recent hotfix, at least when I'm making this patch, or this video. For the patch right now, we actually had a hotfix. She actually got a bug that was actually a really crucial bug, where she was actually getting her damage immunity removed from her ult unintentionally. That actually got recently fixed, so she's even better now. Kind of just a really underrated flank right now. She does a shit ton of damage. She did get her projectile size nerfed for her base weapon, but she's still insanely good. Overall, just a really solid flank, and if you're really good with Vora, I think she's definitely worth giving her a try right now. Just really solid and overall what you are kind of looking for. And then you got Io, which has always been a really solid support. She's insanely fun to play, and she's one of the most popular champions in the game. Everybody loves Io. I don't really know many people that actually like legit hate Io. I really don't. Just a really solid support. She has Luna that's able to give you a versatility with a stun. Her ult, I think, is probably the worst thing about her, but she has really solid healing numbers. She has 15% DR with Goddess Blessing. She has... You can use even, like, the Luna heal town, like, placing Luna and just using Luna as, like, off support, and using that as a... kind of like a tool to heal your other teammates as, like, a... on the other side of the map or stuff like that. So overall, it's really solid right now. I think she's kind of a sleeper pick. I'm not really seeing much Io being played, and I kind of think she's just kind of undervalued right now with what she brings to a team and how good she actually is and how fun she is to play. And there you have it, guys. If this video happened to help you, let me know in the comments down below. Leave a like, subscribe if you are new, and share this video to any of your friends or anybody that you know that actually needs some help with rank for this season. Whether you're, like I said, whether you're trying to get to a higher rank and get to a goal, get chav this season, or if you're just trying to get the Willow skin and get those 75 wins just as fast as possible. Hopefully this video helps you out. Like I said as well, just because a certain champion that you think should be on this list is not in this video or on this list does not mean they are bad or they aren't good. These are just the most consistent champions and the ones that you're going to be finding the most success with for this, at least for the start of this season. And when you're seeing this video, like I said, depending when you're seeing this also could change. If you're watching this at like the end of season 5, maybe some stuff could have already changed. But at least right now, I think this video is going to definitely hold up for the majority of season 5. And I don't think there's going to be like many major changes to the point where the entire list is going to end up changing. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you guys like these types of videos, and if this video does well, I will 100% do a lot more of these in the future. I really like doing these types of videos. But I'm going to get out of here. Hopefully I helped. And I'll see you guys in a future video.